Welcome back once again. Very delighted to be having with us live over the phone Dr. Hassan Wageeh, Professor of International Relations, over the situation in Gaza and the latest developments in recent of what's going in the region, and especially after UNGA 80 and the expanded efforts that were spared by Foreign Minister Badr Abdel Ati and Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli during the General Assembly that was held at New York, taking a Security Council that was held there. Good morning, Dr. Hassan.
Good morning.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Let's first assess the visit that was taken, not the visit, the attendance of Egypt to the Security Council that was held in New York, the General Assembly that was held in its 80th round. There was a lot of developments. There was a lot of meetings between Prime Minister Madbouli and some officials, and of course the historical decision taken by more than 160 countries recognizing Palestine and all that. How do you assess that step taken and the 80th round? How impressive was it to the world and to the Palestinian question?
Actually, the round in the United Nations was very successful diplomatically to recognize the state of Palestine, and more than that, it showed that diplomacy is growing, pressure is growing, steps are being taken more and more in the direction of condemning the genocidal war that the Israel is committing with the help of the United States. I think that the scene was very clear when we have seen the mass walkout when Netanyahu wanted to deliver his speech. I think that was very telling, and people were yelling and angry, because Israel has went far beyond any imagination when it comes to human rights, when it comes to killing more of the Palestinians and making a lot of destruction and escalating the whole situation, which needs to be de-escalated definitely.
Exactly. So before we get into another step that was very promising, also a statement that was released by the American President Donald Trump, let's also point out to the statements or the reaction of the Prime Minister, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, when he heard that European countries, on top of them is the UK and Paris and France and of course Spain and Portugal and many other countries, member states, who announced in the convention that was held in the General Assembly, one of the sessions, the recognition of Palestine. But also he reacted as there is nothing called the Palestinian state. There isn't going to be any Palestinian states in the near future, and I confirmed that. And if this happens, we're going to be taking full control of the West Bank, and I'm going to be confirming my statements also when I come back from the U.S. How do you assess it, and do you think this is going to happen? What is going to happen in the West Bank, especially that they already took over?
Actually, that was a very stubborn stance. Someone who does not know how to get to the learned lessons. You know, when you have all this recognition, but let me contemplate on the recognition of France, Britain, and Spain. These countries, especially France and Britain, these countries are allies of Israel, but they say enough is enough. They said that the whole thing went out of control.
Exactly.
The whole thing went out of proportion.
But then we see a change. But then
disproportionate.
Exactly. But then we see somehow a slightly different change of course of the policies of the U.S. administration when Donald Trump said that annexing the West Bank is not going to happen, and I'm not going to support that. The United States is not going to support that. I'm going to be on the somehow, relevantly speaking, that the U.S. administration is going to be on the European countries' side and the international community to stop Israel to go further with its genocidal activities. Somehow, he didn't directly say that, but somehow he just changed his tone. Was that, this came after his visit to the United Kingdom and meeting with Prime Minister Starmer. So, do you think that things changed inside the United Kingdom when he met with officials? Some agreements were taken behind closed doors that might be changing the U.S. administration somehow?
Yes, of course, one has to watch and to observe what's happening. Yes, there is a strong, very strong international rejection to what is being happened.
You mean pressure?
No, let me finish, please.
Of course, of course.
Let me finish, please.
Of course, please, go ahead.
So, I think that this growing pressure is growing more and more, and also the internal pressure inside the United States of America is growing immensely. And I think that President Trump I hope he will have another reconsideration to what is being done there. And he made a statement and he made a plan of 21 steps. It has some good points and it could be negotiated. And but the problem is that Netanyahu is spoiling every round of negotiation, including what happened in Qatar. The Hamas and the Qatari mediator was trying to mediate in Doha, and they were bombed. So you can see that the United States has to have a far more decisive steps rather than these general statements that we have really heard of them a lot.
Exactly. When I interfered and said with the word pressure, Dr. Wageeh, I meant I just pointed out to the fact that, do you think that what exactly stirred the U.S. administration to change somehow its policies was the international pressure that has been there for a long time? And usually the United States doesn't yield to international pressure, or something else, like some change of interest, some deal that was held behind closed doors, some economic sanctions that was red flags were just being shown, some sort of something like that. I mean, what exactly pressed Israel, the United States, I mean, to change its policies?
Actually, the problem of the international law now and the international community is the word enforcement. How to enforce resolutions. There are so many resolutions by the United Nations. And, the international law needs to be restored. And I think that Egypt, the diplomacy was very strategic and getting into that direction and led a great portion of the states of the world towards restoring the international law. And we have seen these efforts since day one by Egyptian leadership with strategic patience and insistence on carrying out the UN resolutions and the resolutions that is really compatible with humanity, with justice. And I think that the role of Egypt is continuing to do that. But again, the international community, and in particular the United States, has to say enough is enough and to stop this stupid genocidal war that would get the whole thing in the area in an escalation tone that could not be controlled after that.
Right. So, speaking about, of course, as we all know, that President Mahmoud Abbas was denied a visa to the U.S. To attend the General Assembly in New York. He spoke via video conference to the people who were, he addressed the General Assembly, and he pointed out to many important facts. Like some of them, most importantly, is still the existence of a dissection between the Palestinian factions, between Fatah and Hamas. He denied the role of Hamas in the near future, and this is there hasn't been any changes. As long as there is a dissection between the Palestinian factions, then the Israeli side is going to be having some force over Palestine. How do you assess the speech of Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, and especially the same thing, or his statement regarding the Palestinian resistance Hamas, that they are not going to be part of the future, and the PLO is against Hamas in Gaza and all that?
Yes, of course. From the very beginning, let us say that the speech of Mahmoud Abbas needs to be reconsidered again, because he made some good points regarding making a stop on this stupid war. But again, let us say that what happened in the international arena, the people and the demonstrations in New York, was very unhappy to see that the representative of Palestine, Mahmoud Abbas, is prevented from coming, and Netanyahu was allowed to come, despite the fact that he is supposed to be held or seized because of the resolution that was taken by the same UN entity, by the Court of Justice, by the criminal law, and I think that that contradiction was there. But again, in negotiating anything throughout the history, people are negotiating with other parties who are really enemies. So you cannot eradicate the enemy so as to start out a negotiation. You negotiate because they are killing many civilians, and the whole thing went far beyond the Hamas. And the Hamas and Hezbollah, by the way, came as a reaction to brutal Israeli occupation. Despite the fact we are against them or you are with them, it's another issue. They came as a result of a brutal occupation. Let us go to the root of the problem. And this is why Egypt wants to get into the root of the problem and the root of the conflict, to solve it. And there should be these two states solution without canceling other people, or without negotiating under fire, or this kind of theories that will really torpedo any trust.
And to collaborate and unify the efforts, because somehow, what you exactly kindly mentioned, and thank you so much for mentioning this, getting to the root cause of the problem is as our main issue and our main ambition now, and our main quest now. So this takes us to the Egyptian role. The Egyptian roles have been tirelessly, endlessly working on getting to the root cause, and calling for conferences, and gathering Arab leaders, and calling for unification, standing up to the Israeli statements of the compulsive displacement of the innocent Palestinians and all that. How do you assess the great Egyptian role that was played since day one and until Egypt attended the General Assembly, or ANGA 80? There was a lot of efforts done behind the doors and on the negotiating table, and also at the same time Egypt's stance and its strength and its leading role inside the region was also a red flag that was being shown or flashed to the US administration.
Yes, I mentioned the word that you already mentioned now, the same. Words could be reiterated again. Yes, Egypt from day one played a very important role. And this role was highly commended by every fair-minded in the world, and General Secretary Guterres mentioned that and mentioned the name of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and mentioned that he really played a great role in trying to escalate, trying to solve the problem. The problem that needs to be resolved actually. And we are waiting for this international pressure to grow. And by the way, if the United States used the vetoes, you have seen Egypt also commenting on the misuse of veto and calling for repair in the United Nations. You know, our delegate in the Security Council said that. And I mean, Egypt is trying to restore the international law with capital R, restoration with capital R, because the world international law is digging its own grave and going into much more conflicts that no one would be saved from it. So I hope that everyone would appreciate, yes, everyone is appreciating the role of Egypt, appreciating the role of our leadership. And I think that the truth is never a lie, and our efforts will succeed, inshallah, in the future with the help of other powers and with the United States to reconsider its stance and remember the days of Carter and the days of good mediation, fair-minded mediation would save the area and would save the world from this conflict and would make even to stop this self-defeating strategy that they are adopting.
On that very impressive note, of course, Professor Dr. Hassan Wageeh, Professor of International Relations, I'd like to extend our thanks to you talking to us on The Breakfast Show. We're going to go to a short break and we'll come back to you, so stay with us.